Hi everyone, and welcome to Franka's Fab Family. I am Franka, and I want to thank you again for giving me a few moments of your time. If you're new to this channel, then you will realize that it's all about Franka's Fab Family. It's myself and 4 young children, and I have been doing this for roughly 8 years now alone, and I just have some things that I would like to share with parents and potential parents. If you've been watching us, you will know that the last video I took some time to look at our emotional intelligence as parents, and I think that's something that we definitely have to teach our children. But before that, actually, one of the greatest things that I've recently learned, and it has really stabilized my life, is setting boundaries. We may have boundaries in terms of big violations, in terms of a partner physically beating us, a partner stealing from us, children breaking things around the house, constant lying, unsupportive family member, someone that uses us. Those are things that are easy to identify and easy to set boundaries for. But we have a lot of day-to-day interaction with people that many of us, we have not set boundaries. And setting boundaries is what I consider the foundation to our emotional state. The more solid that foundation is, the better that we keep our emotional state in the place that we want to keep it. While I've yet to find a person that would say, like, I like to be miserable, I like to be unhappy. However, studies are showing that there are people that are actually addicted to abuse. And how you're addicted to abuse is that the emotional rush that the abuse gives you, and then the recovery from an up and down roller coaster. One day we're good, one day we're not. And there are many people that are addicted to that. And it all stems from not having boundaries or having poor boundaries. And tomorrow we are going to look at really setting boundaries in our life as adults. But I want us to, at least at this time, let's take a gauge. Let's measure where we are as it relates to the different type of boundaries we have in our life. And psychologists and experts have really taken time to say, let's start with first identifying where you are as it relates to the boundaries that you set. And there are 9 indicators of where you are and if you set good, bad, or poor boundaries. So we're going to look at 9 indicators. If these are your more than likely default personalities, do you do these things? This is a very personal and independent journey. It's an internal journey that each of us as adults should go through, and I just really want to encourage us to take a look at it honestly with ourselves in our private times, because especially if we have children, we need to at least try to help our children not develop these things or develop boundaries so that they can have better interpersonal relationships with the adults in their lives. One of the indicators that you have poor or no boundaries is you display an inability to make decisions. What that means is that every decision that you make, primarily you have to consult someone. You have to consult a friend. What do you think? You have to consult a mate. What do you think about this? What would you do? Do you think this is a good idea? You consult a parent, a father, a mother, a mate. You don't really have the ability to make your own decisions. When you can't make your own decisions, you're not grounded in your own self-worth. You're not able to say, I am going to do this because of this, and then make the decision. I am going to only make a decision when someone else has guided me to make that decision. That's an indication of being very emotionally immature, because that's normally how children function. Children typically are not independent enough to make the decisions that they need to make for their lives, so they will ask guidance. When we step into adult life, if you find that you make no decision, and even within a male, female, or a intimate relationship, whatever that is, if you can't make a decision without that person, or that person can't make a decision without you, that's a clear indication of emotional immaturity, or you haven't set boundaries for yourself because you can't make a decision. Another indicator of having poor boundaries or no boundaries is being a people pleaser. There are many people pleasers. People pleasers are people that will always put aside what they need and what they want to please other people. It's exactly as it said, a people pleaser. And I'm talking about a person that will drive 10-15 miles to bring you, let's say example, chicken soup from this one restaurant that you really like. Now, okay, the chicken soup, you forgot the spoon. Let's say, for example, you forgot the spoon and the person wants you to drive all the way back and go and get them a spoon 10-15 miles away. That's a little unreasonable. But for a people pleaser, the people pleaser would say they would feel the emotional discomfort. They don't necessarily want to do it, but they will do it because they want to keep the peace. So I'm here to please you. So I'm here to do what you need, regardless of how it makes me feel. That's again setting poor boundaries or no boundaries, you know. And people pleasers always put everybody else's needs before theirs, which results in self-hurt or discomforts because their emotional needs are never pleased. Their state of being is never taken into consideration. Another thing that you might have poor boundaries is that you are excessively tired. You are fatigued. You hear yourself saying on a daily basis, I'm tired. I'm just tired. You know, I remember this one lady in the Virgin Islands before she passed at 55 of stomach ulcers. But I remember her for the last 2 years just saying, I'm tired. I'm just tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. And even when she woke up, she was tired. And a reason that many of us might be exhausted even after just waking up from 8 hours of sleep is because we are overextending ourselves emotionally and physically to other adults in our life. I keep saying when we have children, up until the children become of adult age to self-sustain themselves, and again, you start to back off as the child gets older. When you pick up adult children or you allow adults in your life to play the role as children and you overextend yourself, meaning 2 adults are in the home, only one does the cooking, only one does the paying of the bills, both parties are working, only one does all the physical needs and the demands of the home, that person is not only going to be physically tired, but they're going to be emotionally tired as well, because you know in part of you like, geez, I'm here cooking and you know this guy can't even help me with the laundry, or I'm here like, you know, mowing the lawn and my wife inside can't even put the pot on. She's gonna wait till I come inside to cook. What happens is that now you're physically tired and you're emotionally tired because you're unable to delegate or share the responsibilities with others. And that happens in the home, but it could also happen at work. If you have, let's say you have a co-worker, Joe, every time he comes to work on a Monday morning, he wants you to help him with his work. Now, you don't have a problem helping Joe, but it does get into your, it spills into your workload and it causes emotional distress to you. You don't know how to set boundaries because you don't know how to say, I will help you, you know, later on in the week, but allow me to do my own work. So you have poor work boundaries. You're a people pleaser. I'm always, yes, Joe, I'll be more than happy to help you. So then therefore you put your work aside, help Joe with his work, and you have to do your work when you get home, and then you can't, you know, study your family, or you can't just sit and relax and unwind, you know, things like that. So those are indicators. Another indicator is you're always taking care of everyone else's needs. You're that person that everyone can call on to say, I'm having a bad day. I need some money. Can you come and help me with this? Everyone can come to you and say, help me. And the reason why they can come and say, help me to you, and you will help, is because you don't say no. Everyone else's needs all the time come before your own. And because you have not taken stock of what are some of my needs, it leads us to limitation number 5, and that's the loss of self. Poor boundaries or no boundaries leave you feeling like you've lost yourself. I don't know what I like in this life anymore. And I've met adults like that. I don't know what I like. I don't know what I like to eat. I don't know, because I'm just used to pleasing you. You remember the movie Coming to America, when she came out and he said, wait, let me get to know you. And it's an old movie. Some of you younger viewers might not know. It's an old movie where this king has just been given his wife that was selected for him. Beautiful lady, and she comes out and the prince goes, wait, I want to get to know you a little bit. Tell me about yourself. What do you like? But she has been trained her whole life to study this prince and to give him exactly what he wants. So she says, I like whatever you like. So he said, what kind of food do you like? I like whatever food you like. What kind of things do you like to do? I like whatever things you like to do. It went as far as him telling her to bark like a dog, bark like a big dog, jump up and down like a monkey. And she did all of these things. And while I remember as a young girl looking at that movie, it seemed absurd. Like, nobody is trying to live out their life to just please another person. On a day-to-day basis, many of us are really going through life putting everybody else's needs above our own. So I will do everything on a daily basis to please you. I will do everything on a basis to keep the peace with you. And why would a person do that? And they will do that because they don't have any boundaries for themselves. They have not determined that their feelings and their life matters to them. And we will talk later on, a lot of these dysfunctions are developed from early childhood, whether it be abuse or abandonment. But we as the adult, we have to fix these things. We cannot continue to engage in such dysfunction within ourselves as well as with other people. Another sign that you might have low boundaries or poor boundaries is oversharing. Have you ever met someone and you chat with them for 5 minutes and they tell you all of their personal business, from their financial needs to their reproductive issues to maybe, family upbringing? They haven't allowed enough time to pass that a real trust, a real understanding of, will this other person understand me if I share these traumatic situations with them? And I've actually been guilty of that, because you tend to think, I won't betray you, so I assume you won't betray me. But that's not how this works. In adult life, I'm starting to realize that you could really only safeguard yourself from what things you will not do to another person. You cannot force another person to do or not to do something for you, because as an adult, we have what is called free choice. We have free choice. Unlike children, where we could make children do things, or even in the workplace when the boss can quote unquote make you do something within reason, but then you can quit or get fired, or you still have a choice as an adult. So therefore, oversharing, if you're a person that you're so open to just sharing everything, and when it hits the fan, you get hurt because this person took the information that you gave them and misused it, it's a clear indication that you may not have internal boundaries. Like, I will only share certain things about myself with a particular person only after I have developed and I have learned to trust that person. So oversharing is another indication. Do you go through your days primarily with a lot of resentment or annoyances? I mean, the car that just cut you off annoy you. I notice up here in America, a lot of people have road rage, like a lot. If you blow the horn, like, people are ready to come out and like start a fight or murder you or something. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, like, that's ridiculous. Everybody don't drive at the same capacity. Unless you have the same person in front of your car always cutting you off every single day. If a strange car cut you off, you don't know if the person just realized they left the pot on at home, or, I need to hurry up and get to my kids before, they're late or I'm late. Like, you don't really know what the situation is happening. So being resentful all the time, you're easily annoyed, I'm aggravated, everything annoys me. Eckhart Tolle talks about it. He wrote this book called The New Earth, and there's a chapter where he talks about the pain body, understanding your emotional state. So what happens is that you're staying in a state of resentment. People pleasers are very resentful because they know for a fact that they are doing everything for the other person. Their needs never matter. So while they're going through the motions of, I'm going to do this for this other person, they are secretly resenting you. They are secretly annoyed by you when you ask them to do another thing, because they don't want to say no. They don't know how to make decisions for their own. It's really a level of immaturity within oneself when you practice these things. And these are issues that could have been developed in you at a younger age, but they were not. So now in adulthood, they are coming out of you and spilling out of you in different ways. So what do you do about it? What do you do? And in this talk, we're looking at if you have poor or no boundaries. You have not set safeguards around yourself to protect your emotional state. You have not made yourself important in your own life. And what I'm realizing more and more, the sooner you can get a child to understand that this one life, this one body that you have, it's yours. And I need to help you take care of it in all ways, shape, and form. Physically, financially, emotionally, psychologically. I need to, sexually as well. I need to help you develop and take care of those things yourself. If you don't deal with them in childhood, you're going to deal with the imbalance and the underdevelopedness in adulthood, but it's then your responsibility to still fix it. You don't get to blame your parents. You have to fix it. Another thing is passive aggressiveness. There is a lot of people extremely passive aggressive. Hi, how are you? I see you didn't bring me anything today. It's almost planting guilt on you. Passive aggressiveness can work on, again, in a people pleaser or person that exhibiting a lot of these non-existing boundaries. What they will do everything you want. Yes, sure, you need me again. Yes, sure, I will come. Yes. When though the stage before of annoyance and resentfulness starts to kick in, they might get really aggressive. Really aggressive. Let's say that you get into an altercation or argument with the person. The person might hit you because they don't know how to shift between the passive side of them and control the aggressive side of them. But that is a real thing. So instead of saying to myself, wait, I'm functioning constantly on this passive side, and they may disguise it as I'm humble, I'm so humble. No, you have decided that you're going to be a people pleaser, and you're going to let people walk all over you, and you're going to do everything that everyone wants all the time. But then when it gets to a point that you are so irritated and so annoyed, that's when your aggression sign comes off. And more than likely, both men and women exhibit this all the time. They don't know how to handle a conflict because they're used to just people pleasing. And if the situation doesn't allow for a yes, yes, or a no, no, it will result in some type of an aggressive like lash out or conflict. And again, you haven't set a boundary. So passive aggressive people normally don't have boundaries because they're doing everything to please everyone else. So when they don't want to please, here comes the aggression. But it's so extreme of the other passive side. I'm so quiet and docile, but you will be beating up your wife at home. So how does that work? How does that work? You as a wife, your husband is not really being nice to you. So first chance you get, you will go and steal his money, or you will say the groceries cost $700 and it was really $500. Your aggression will come out in a different way. And that's why it's so critical that we take emotional stock. And the last sign that if you have weak boundaries, poor boundaries, or no boundaries is that you do everything because you fear abandonment or rejection. So, of the 8 steps that I told you before, they are all governed because I don't want you to leave my life. So I will do everything that you need. I will say everything that you need to hear. I will manipulate every situation at work because I'm the good employee. Call on this person. This person is always there to help. Even though I'm internally annoyed, even though I feel used and abused, even though I feel neglected and my needs are not wanted, or I don't even know what my needs are anymore. I am doing all of these things because I don't want you to abandon me. If it's a loved one, I don't want you to walk out of my life. So I will make it unbearable for you to walk out of my life. Imagine that as an adult, having another adult in your life that does everything for them. They pay all your bills. They do all the laundry, they do all the cooking, they do everything for you. But they might beat you. So you will play, well, he slapped me around every now and again, but shit, I don't have to do anything, so I'll just try to stay out of his way, or I'll go have an affair outside, or vice versa. If it's a woman that is handicapping her mate, I will do everything that this guy wants. I will do. When he wants my body, I will give it to him. I will lose myself in pleasing this person. You will feel unfulfilled. And the reason why everyone will start to feel unfulfilled is because we all have our own life to live. Emotional disturbance and emotional annoyances is a clear indicator of immaturity and the lack of boundaries set. So while you might be great professionally, while you might be a great helper at work, if you don't have boundaries in terms of, I really don't like, if I already told you no 2 times, why are you asking me the same thing again? I already told you. So if a person no, by the time you ask them on the 3rd time, they will say yeah. You don't have solid boundaries. Your emotional happiness is not being met, and you don't have solid boundaries because you are afraid that this person will reject you. You are afraid. When I was a department head, I had a staff of 24. I remember telling my staff, listen, no supervisor is supposed to approve your vacation time only after you tell them what you're doing on vacation, because that was one of the complaints of the managers before me. They would say, my vacation time will never be approved if, I tell my boss, like, I just want to, first of all, you don't have to give your boss a reason for your vacation. You're entitled to it. The only thing the boss is supposed to do is make sure that the work is going to be covered while you're not there. But there are some supervisors and managers that are really abusive. And because you as the employee don't know your rights, you will tiptoe around, or you will people please around the boss, and you will find that you haven't gone on vacation in 2 and 3 years because you don't want to offend, your superior. That goes in personal lives and parent to child lives. So again, 9 traits that you may exhibit if you have poor or non-existing boundaries in your life in any shape or form, whether it's school, parenting, you to your parents as an adult, your friendship, your mates, we have to set boundaries. And 9 indicators are: 1, you have an inability to make a decision on your own. You got to consult with everybody. That's a sign. 2, you're a people pleaser. I will do any and everything to please everybody around me, even at the expense of my own desires. That's another indicator. 3, I'm extremely exhausted. Even when I wake up in the morning, I'm exhausted. That means that you are actually taking on more responsibility than the other adults around you in your life. Or the other people around you. You're taking on too much. So you're emotionally and physically tired all the time. 3, taking care of everybody else but yourself. And you have no one to take care of you. So if you're taking care of everybody but yourself, that's another indicator that you don't have boundaries, because as young as children are, I remember a 2-year-old. You can tell a 2-year-old, baby, come and pick up your shoes. This is where shoes go. Those are small little training measures that you can put into place. But if you pick up the shoe all the time for the child, all the time for the child, all the time for the child, after a while when the child is 10, 15, 20, and you're still picking up the shoes for the child, it's because you have set no boundaries, right? The loss of sense, the loss of self. You don't know who you are anymore. You don't know what you like. You feel like life is dragging you along. You are no longer an active participant in your life because you're doing everything for everyone else. Everyone else's needs matters except yours, right? Then you have oversharing. Are you an oversharer? Do you tell personal information and secrets and stuff with strangers, people that you should not engage those type of conversation with? That's another indicator that you don't have self-boundaries. You know, resentment and annoyance. Do you constantly feel annoyed? I'm like really annoyed. This person really gets on my nerves. Imagine driving home. Imagine driving home from work and you hate going home. That is a clear indicator of something is wrong. You're not looking forward to the people that's in your house. When COVID hit and I, would drive around my community or drive around places and I would see the way people were behaving, I said to my kids, they don't like their people in the house. They do not like their people in the house. Do you know that domestic violence actually rose exponentially during that COVID year and a half? It's because everyone was home together. So you no longer get to bury yourself at work or at school or outside activities. You actually had to deal with the people in your house. And it just showed who liked their family members and who really did not like their family members. And you have to be honest. If you are extremely resentful and annoyed with all the human beings in your life, except children, that's why parenting is so important. Children cannot take care of themselves. You have to take care of them. You want to reevaluate your boundaries. And passive aggressiveness. You're nice and sweet, humble, kind, gentle, soft-spoken, and then you're beating up someone. Someone come to confront you and you just, you go off. Like you show a real ugly side of you, as if that boss was able to see, I didn't know this person was like that. That's that aggressive part of you. When your annoyance and resentment build up enough, you will lash out. So you know if that's you as well. And the last thing is you're functioning and you're doing everything with all the interactions with people because you don't want them to abandon you and you don't want them to reject you. So you put your needs on the side because I don't want to offend anybody because you won't love me. And I've heard somebody say this to me. He actually had an adult child who had just moved out of the mom's home, and the first month he's asking the dad for $500 to pay the rent. And I remember saying to this person, that's wrong. Like, you shouldn't encourage that. And the person said to me, but I don't want my son to feel like I'm not there for them. And I said, but as a parent, you have to be teaching your children accountability and responsibility. If this adult son over 21 decides I'm going to move out on my own, as a parent, you sit down and you help the child count the cost. Can you financially afford to move out on your own? Who will you be living with? Where will you be living? And if you're unable to maintain your life as an independent, you don't just get to call the other parent after the first month and say, well, I need $500, I'm short of my rent. And the parent gives it. The worst thing about that is that you are teaching another adult person how to depend on you. So you're working for your own life and now you're working for your adult child's life instead of teaching them values and responsibility because you fear rejection. I don't want my child to call me and ask me for money and I say no. The answer to that is no. No. If you cannot pay your own rent on your own on a monthly basis, you need to reconsider either moving back home with your mother, getting a roommate, moving in with me with the parent. But you as a parent is doing a big injustice to the adult child if you don't allow them to start to walk the walk and talk the talk of adult life on their own because you fear rejection and abandonment. Now, I think that these 9 traits that will determine if you have poor boundaries or no boundaries is a good starting point. Take a look at them again and really decide where you fall. Maybe you might have all of these traits. Maybe you might just have a couple to work on. Maybe you might have none, but it's definitely a starting point of how you operate as an adult to see if you have boundaries or if you don't have boundaries. And again, the 9 traits are inability to make decisions on your own. You're a people pleaser. You are extremely tired all the time. Even after you wake up, you're excessively tired. You take care of everyone else's needs. You actually even lose your sense of self. You don't know like what you like, what you don't like anymore. Your feelings and your needs are so not met that you almost feel lost. You feel like life is dragging you and you're not an active participant in your life. You're oversharing. You might be resentful and annoyed most days. That's your normal state. You're passive aggressive, and the last one is you do all of these things because you secretly fear rejection and abandonment. So you actually manipulate people to stay with you, or you want to stay with people that you know are not the best for you. So again, as adults and as parents or future parents, it is our responsibility to take stock and to heal ourselves in order to not transfer these types of traumatic dysfunctions into our children, and even more so to help our children develop healthy emotional habits that they can control their own emotional state, as well as when they get into adult life, they are not used and abused and mistreated by other people because they can safeguard themselves through boundaries. So make sure you join us tomorrow, because that's when we are going to look at setting boundaries. Now that you know if you have poor or no boundaries or very little boundaries, take an emotional stock of yourself, and then tomorrow let's look at how we can actually begin to start setting boundaries to start healing ourselves as in adult life, so we can help our children. I am Franka Potter.